All right. We are back and better than ever. I took that from Mike and Mike from years ago, but episode 16 of the Frenemies Fantasy Football Podcast. I am. Terrible migraine. Oh,
you have a nice glow about you today.
Glow, yeah. I
don't know what it is.
It was so weird. I'm listening to the podcast last week, and I was like, "Dadgum, Tim did so good. They might just leave me forever there."
Oh, but come on, don't go Ryan.
I love the love.
Dude, I'm the one who threatens to quit every week.
You were showing some love there when I was gone, and keeping some of the stuff I put on the script. I felt appreciative.
It worked well for Ryan. Ryan was able to cheat off your notes.
Yeah. So Ryan had something down. No, it was just Chris. But all right, to start off our podcast, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room.
Real quick though.
Oh wait, what's up?
We got to acknowledge here. We're in
a new area. In a new spot, new studio.
Trying to get more professional.
Yes, professional.
There's a wonderful banner
up front. Yeah,
Chris contributed to our podcast. So.
Trying to make it a little more legit, be a little more proud of our logo and things to come. So, well, let us know in the comments if you like this studio or not, if we should change it. But yeah, new digs. I think we're moving places. When you're 16 episodes in, you got to keep moving forward. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's talk about who's not going to be moving forward in the NFL so far this season. Kareem Hunt.
Oh, man.
This is obviously horrible news for what he did. But, it also impacts, even our world of fantasy. Because a lot of us, outside of probably Kareem Hunt and his boys, did not see this happening and coming. So let's talk about it. Sean, what are your thoughts here? Let's just, if you want to touch the social justice part there, but how do you handle players like this in fantasy when it comes to?
Yeah, I was personally the Kareem Hunt owner in our league, and I definitely had that little bit of a moral conundrum there when it happened because, you're sitting there, it looks like he's going to be released, and you see it. That's what makes it worse is the video.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's terrible that it happens, but when there's a video of it, it's just like in your face. Okay, this is real. Like this isn't just something you read. This is like you're seeing it. And so it really definitely touches you to the point where you're like, I don't know if I want this on my fantasy team. This is just a game. This isn't like... So I kind of thought about, well, he could sign with somebody else. He's one of the top 5 most talented backs in the league. I don't think we can argue that. But I just decided, I'm just not going to mess with it. It's not worth it. And it's just something I'll have to think about every week when he's on my bench. So I just cut him. I'm not saying that I'm the moral high. If he was still playing with the Chiefs and that video came out, I probably would still have him on my team. But it's definitely something that I think people struggle with because there's a lot of players like this. You've got the Joe Mixons, Ezekiel Elliott's had his stuff, Jameis Winston, Tyreek Hill on the same team. I think that's something that I was kind of... I mean, the Chiefs did the right thing by cutting Kareem Hunt, but then they were allowing this other guy to be on their team who pled guilty to abusing his pregnant girlfriend. Like, that's... Yeah. To me, that's worse than whatever was in that video with Kareem Hunt. So, I don't know. Ryan kind of has a little bit of experience studying this type of stuff. I know you have more of a unique voice on it. So
yeah, well, in general, it just seems that if somebody's an athlete, then they get a free pass to do whatever they want, which is really sad. Like Cristiano Ronaldo has legitimate rape claim against him right now. And yet I'm not seeing much about it. I'm seeing a lot of the coverage around him is still like, oh my gosh, look at this highlight, look what he's doing. CR7, is doing this and that. But it's weird. It's as if it's like time hasn't changed anything to me. It's like we're still in the Roman times where it's like we just throw him in a freaking stadium and
gladiators.
Yeah, gladiators. So. Like whatever you've done, just go in there and entertain us. And I don't really agree with that, especially when they're making millions of dollars.
Right. Well, it's such an entertainment business and a win now thing that I think Kareem Hunt will be back on an NFL roster because unlike Ray Rice, he's second year into his prime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was an instant success his rookie year. NFL teams are going to watch this, see where the chips fall, and they're going to see, can we take the PR hit and put a talented back and go.
Well, and it's a business, and the
Yeah.
way the NFL is designed with salary cap, you're looking at a discounted player here, and that's kind of why they have Tariq Hill. He fell in the draft. He was a discount. It's hard in a competitive league like this where it's all about winning for teams to not take that. Like as you saw with Reuben Foster, I think that's why no one claimed him because of the PR fallout from the Reuben Foster when the Redskins took him. They were just like, okay, we can't do this. This is too much.
Yeah, so I don't know. After dust settles and they put some space in between it, I think we might see Kareem Hunt back on a team. And Penny,
It's definitely possible.
yeah, I mean, we can agree, disagree with. I mean, I think 100% of us should disagree with what he did, but that's just that reality there in the NFL offices. They were thinking a whole different thing when it comes to winning. They're like, okay, let's go grab this guy.
Yeah, the other thing is if you're thinking about keeping him on your roster as a keeper or for Dynasty League, you're also going to have to probably withstand a pretty hefty suspension. I would think that at least 10 games to a season is probably in the cards. And he hasn't started that. I mean, who knows how long that process is going to take. Ezekiel Elliott's was like almost a year. I mean, these things take a while.
In most leagues, like ours, when they're out, like for those reasons, you can't put them in an IR slot. So he's going to take a bench thing if you try to keep him. So people are outside our league listening and stuff. That's something that you're going to have to face too if you think you're going to roll the dice with it. So your majority of people are going to cut him because you're not going to keep a guy where you have to wait almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Because you never know with a rookie running back, things of that nature, even though his ADP will be like it probably won't even take a pick because he's going to be a 16-round type guy.
Yeah, I was more curious also. We wanted to talk a little bit about, like I said, keeping these players on your team because there's still players like Tyreek Hill, Joe Mixon that are on rosters now. I don't know, how do you approach that, Ryan? I know you're somebody who's had a little more
I mean, I'm a little
stricter about it.
I don't mess with it personally because I'm one of those guys that thinks karma's going to bite you eventually.
Right.
Like, to be honest, I think that's why Winston hasn't taken off. Like, not only do I believe the woman who claimed that he raped her, I 100% believe her. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's continually instances where he's acting up. So at what point do you, as men, as grown men in the NFL, say, for the sake of every girl, every daughter, every woman in the stadium who buys tickets to see these people, get the out of my stadium and let's just get somebody with some real morals. So I don't mess with it, and I think the Bucks. I avoid the Bucks as a whole. I just don't like it. I like for me, the fun in fantasy is finding those players, getting to know the players that you like.
Yeah.
You know, as people, I think for me, that's like 100% of the way I play.
Yeah, you're the narrative guy. Remember, Jake Sealu's on. He's talking, you're the narrative. Yeah. Where on the other side, flip a coin, where the guys who do play him in there, we're just looking at it as a stat number thing, where there's no connection. We're just like, that guy stinks as a person, but you know what? That's 10 points on my part because there's no connection between you of you're just on my roster gaining via points because there's no personal thing. For you, you want to get to know the story behind the guy and really, truly cheer for the player behind. So it's hard to draft those guys. And you're like, I just truly despise who you are.
Yeah, I think that eventually karma catches you, but also I think that the players that have something legitimate to play for, you know, that have drive, you can tell like some people just have drive and some people just go through the motions. I like players that are going after something bigger,
contract year players. That's a more realistic way to even look at it is when you have, like, that's a good example of it. You see contract players, they're playing for a contract, they're playing with this extra drive, whereas you just got your big fat contract, you're like, I could sit this game out, I don't need to play through this injury, I don't need to try harder to get this extra yard. So
I like them.
Yeah, let's switch over to something a tad bit lighter. I mean, felt like we needed to discuss it via the podcast because of the relevancy there. But let's look at our overall thoughts of this previous week here. Sean, what do you want to talk about? Kind of the same thing.
So mine's got to do with the situation. Like I said, I was the Hunt owner. I had luckily, I picked him up 2 days before this happened. So this is also just a quick, public service announcement. Pick up your handcuffs, people. You need to be ready for this.
Yes.
I mean, I had Ware. He had Samuels when Connor went down. It's just speaking to
and
Chris.
Connor when Le'Veon decided.
Exactly.
Man,
so
thank you. Thank you, James Conner.
If you're in the playoffs, you don't need to be stashing somebody who's, potentially going to break out in the next few weeks. That's not going to help your team. If your star goes down, you're going to want his backup. So
right.
And then my overall thought with it was that I had Ware, and I don't think it's going to be kind of like we saw with Ware before, where he got, a good majority of the touches. He was pretty close to Hunt, but he's not as talented. That's the biggest thing I took away from it was I kind of thought that Ware was closer. It may be because of the injury that he's gone down a little bit, but watching that game, it was very evident that this was no longer Kareem Hunt on the field. So I think Andy Reid's going to kind of split it a little more. They signed Charkandrick West. Damian Williams was getting in there quite a bit. I think you can play him because of the opportunity, and I think opportunity's king in fantasy, but talent matters. I mean, for sure, talent matters. You don't get that superstar week unless you have a player that has opportunity and talent. You're not going to just get it from a middling player that has a bunch of opportunity.
Yeah.
So just temper your expectations. If you have Ware, he's probably a pretty good RB2, but I don't think he's going to be an RB1.
Right. Well, I took 3 things as my thoughts. There's a lot. One, extremely fantasy relevant. I think the Chiefs can just score no matter what. With all this drama,
It's true.
all right,
Yeah.
my boy Mahomes, who I got on my roster, he's the fastest or the youngest guy to throw 40 touchdowns,
Yeah.
so we still got a couple more weeks left in the NFL.
Yeah, he's going to be chasing.
And the way Kansas City scores, I'm looking up, they had both their tight ends basically go off. Demetrius Harris. Nobody owns this guy.
Yeah.
But Kelsey puts up monster numbers at the tight end position. We don't see that. Those are beyond Gronk numbers. What do you have? 12 catches?
Did you see the
Going to, like,
hear the
2
press conference
touchdowns?
with Gruden afterward?
No, I didn't see that
my
one. No.
gosh, it was hilarious. He was like, those guys must live together, Mahomes and Kelsey, because they're on the same page.
What in the world?
It was so hilarious. Just if you have some time, go back and listen. to it.
Yeah, so like Kansas City, those the run game's gonna take a hit. But guys who have Mahomes on their roster and receivers, especially Kelsey, so Tim in our league, you're gonna see more volume in there because I think what they're doing is an extension of the run game, is a short pass game.
Yeah.
So that helps out a lot with the tight end looks, and they got a lot of speed out there. So it's going to keep developing. The mad mind of Andy Reid is going to throw out some new wrinkles. Could be a blessing in disguise losing a guy like Hunt because now your offense can be even a tad bit more unpredictable. And they put Charkandrick West and Spencer Ware. They know his system, and they'll be a little more traditional. So I think add some stuff in there. Also, I said the Bears are fun to watch, even with Chase Daniels at QB, because they got so creative.
Nagy, man.
And that defense had to be even more, I would just say, ball hawking hungry. Like they were getting interceptions there. They were
And that white
doing a
boy
pretty
can
good
dance.
one. Yeah,
Have you seen the video?
he can dance. And then I said the Chargers, man, they're the playoff team no one's talking about. Now, yes, the Steelers did some dumb stuff there, but the Chargers were
No,
so
but this is a
legit coming
different
back,
team.
man.
This is a different team.
Think
They were the
Rivers-
team that can never finish before, right?
Now they are finishing, and
true.
we'll talk about running backs with them later here. But they're just they found it, and I think Philip Rivers is a great quarterback that no one really respects because of his lack of playoff success.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to our party cue.
Yes.
Yeah, going a little bit lighter here.
Yeah, so our party question this week, it's got little sports to do with it. You know how we did like a kicking competition?
Right.
Got me thinking, if we were to see ourselves in a sport, what sport would we place ourselves in professionally that, if we actually did the training throughout our childhood, we thought we could actually do this? Kind of with the body types we've been given, the skills we've been given.
Yeah.
This is our attempt to recoup some pride.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll start off here. I'm a football coach. I played football through high school. Love it. It's my big thing that I do. But I chose curling. Just kidding. I can't do that. But bowling, I was actually very good at as a kid.
Yeah, we heard your story about this.
Yeah, I was bowling like 200 games as a sixth grader, and I was really good. And we're talking about body types. I think of my dad bod, I got the perfect body. If you ever need like napping stuff to on Sundays, and you're like, I got to fall asleep, just turn on PB whatever bowling on ESPN. All those guys make me look like a supermodel. So I think I can work phenomenal in that league. They always got fans in there.
just-
Like, where do you find fans to be live
Counter,
fans?
the gut kind of counterweights the ball.
Yeah, you come through with a little motion there.
Man,
know?
I'll bet Chris could be a real beast, though, because I don't know what your trigger point is, but we find it. I'll bet we see different Chris.
When I
What's
bowled,
your trigger point?
So I don't
Like,
know for some
I'm
reason.
going to like for me, I have to play mental games. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, my family's in danger. 20, 30, 40.
So when I go bowl, before
Start counting by tens. That's how.
I get so into the habit, I got to do a routine all the time. So I could totally different, and I never did in any other sport. Like when I go in there, I slide my stepping lanes just to see how, so I don't, how smooth the walk up lanes are, how many steps in there. I do the same routine every time I get the ball up, hand dryer, couple of dries on the butt there, the same legs up on top. I'll come in. It's like the same approach. So I'm like a totally different beast when it comes to bowling. Every other sport I've played, I'm always lighthearted. I'm joking. That's just how I played. But for some reason, bowling, I was like uber focused. I don't know why.
Really?
It's ridiculous. All right, Sean, I love this one. Please tell me why.
So my real one I'll save here, but if whenever it becomes professional sport, ultimate frisbee, that's my dream.
It's
I would
getting
love
up
to
there,
do that.
man.
Absolutely love ultimate frisbee and think I could actually be pretty good at it. But for looking at the Olympics, gymnastics. My dad was a gymnast all through.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, all through his collegiate years, and so I.
Can we tell
I
a
did
story
a little bit. What?
really quick
I guess so.
about your
I
dad?
guess.
About my dad.
About this gymnastics
Oh
strength?
yeah. So gymnasts are known for having kind of that secret strength. They're kind of short, stocky guys. They don't look like huge buff
Right.
guys. And that's kind of my dad. He's kind of a smaller guy. He's pretty fit, but he doesn't, he's not like super buff or anything.
Your dad could
Yeah,
probably
sorry,
beat me up.
sorry, Dad.
Yeah,
But
I think he's still beating
So
me up.
and then we had
Doesn't matter, dude.
we were in a band, me and Ryan, and we had this guy
wow.
named Nate, and he, he's 6'2". He came from a Marine dad. He's got like this just cut body.
Perfect.
I mean, he
Yeah.
looks like he
That's
could
kinda
take on
odd,
anybody.
Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, like the Atlas man. That's what Nate looked like. So
Perfect.
he somehow it came up that he was going to challenge my dad to arm wrestle. And so here's my dad. He's in his 40s. This guy's in his prime, like 20 years old. And so they pull up next on the hood of a truck, going for an arm wrestle, and my dad just decks him.
Boom.
Boom, right
Wasn't
down.
even close.
That old man gymnastic strength. So
Old
you
man
got to be a little
gymnast.
shorter. You got to have good balance.
Right.
So I think I could see myself doing it.
That's pretty cool.
Cool.
Ryan, what do you think, man?
Dude, I don't know. Like, what do you think? Chess? Some good chess games?
No, man. I think I
My
can see you
fingers
as
are
a
pretty strong.
a bare knuckle brawler.
Bare knuckle
UFC original days.
Dude, I would not last one day in
Yes.
the UFC.
You and your
But what I
gi
could do is
rolling
blue belt
around.
competition jiu-jitsu. That's the only thing I
There
can
you
think
go.
of.
There you go.
My
All right.
level jiu-jitsu.
I like how none of us chose the game of football.
Yeah,
We're pretty
Chris,
real. We're pretty
I
realist
think
about
that,
that.
you could. Okay, NFL now.
That's
Maybe
also-
arena. I don't know.
Not even there. All right, so let's talk about waiver wire. Was our pickups this week that we're highlighting? Sean, start it off. Who you got in there?
So there's a ton of running backs that you guys need to pay attention to. The one I'm going to highlight is Justin Jackson. This may be a moot point if Gordon is back this week. They're actually talking that it's a possibility of that, which is crazy. I think they should hold him out. They can easily beat. I think they're playing Oakland.
Yeah.
They can stomp them. I would just sit him, come back for Kansas City. If that's the case, it's not looking like it's the Eckler show. Justin Jackson came in and looked really good.
Yeah.
I think that they kind of were going to work him in slowly. They wanted to see if they could trust the kid. He's performed. He's looked a lot better at running.
Podcast selfie.
Oh, my
This man's all over the place.
All over the place. Yeah, that's a good.
He's trying to distract me from the other players I'm going to talk about. So the other, you got to watch out for Jalen Samuels. James Conner went down. They're saying now it's looking more like a serious injury.
Yeah.
So the big thing is some people are starting playoffs this week. You're talking about 3 players you could possibly pick up and start as almost RB1s this week. So you got Justin Jackson, Jalen Samuels, and then who's the San Francisco guy again? It's like Williams.
Harris Jr. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Wilson Jr.
Jeff
Yeah, there
Wilson
you go.
Jr.
Yeah, so that's
Got my bid in.
That's big time. So you guys who are not in our league, and yes, a lot of people, if they're bigger for like a 16 plus, you'll have usually a 16 playoff. You're having a bye week, and your first rounds are going this week.
Yep.
So you need those backs because
Yeah.
we're talking Connor, Hunt, Melvin Gordon. Those are RB1s in a lot of playoff
Exactly.
teams right now.
Dude, my playoff team is so
I'm
bad.
just so happy I'm playing you this week. All right, so and watch I lose.
You're going to
This
kick
week.
me out of the playoffs, man. I'll tell you that much.
So for me, I was looking at Tom Brady. I see he's out there on the wire. I think Turtles in our league let him
at
go
least
there.
in our league, but it's not
In our league, but some
it's
people
feasible.
might.
It could be in others.
Could be other leagues because there's so many good quarterbacks going
Is he
now.
out there for real?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a free agent.
Dude,
But there's
this-
a lot of poor quarterback play going on in
wanna
fantasy
know
right
why?
now because the tough defense is starting to come around. I don't know if it's cold weather climates where the ball's not being catchable at times or what, but you're looking at single-digit performers this past week to guys that usually get you 20 points. So, I don't know. In our league, it looks like Tom Brady was open there, but some people were starting to drop him because he was really bad against blitzes. He started rating really low on third downs.
Well,
but
he plays the Dolphins this week, so he'll be fine.
he'll be but the Patriots are just like rolling into form. So
Yeah.
if Brady in those small leagues in there, I know this is minute, but we're talking playoff time. If you really need someone that's really trust in there, Brady is getting his roster back together.
Yeah. That's
Especially
true.
with
Gronk's
Burkhead coming
good-
back.
looking healthy again.
Gronk's full. Yep. So
Do you have one for us,
you
Ryan?
have a
or are
waiver?
keeping them all to
No, I was
yourself?
just saying, like, the only reason I'm this good at fantasy this year is because every week I come and hear you guys talk.
and then you just do
And then I'm
exactly
just
what we
like,
say.
oh, that is a good idea right there.
Yeah, like we're actually like
That's why he
doing the
decided to
podcast.
be
He's
on the
like on his
podcast.
phone.
Gonna-
He's like, "Oh, I'm
Gonna
pick
put
that
in
guy
my
up."
Tom Brady waiver request right now. Thank you, and I'm playing you.
Oh,
Appreciate
here we go.
that.
Matchup of the week. I might just claim him.
Against
Just,
Miami.
against-
Oh, he's a little scary against Miami, though. You know what I'm saying?
In Miami.
yeah, I might just
Because
pick
we
him
know
up,
how
put him
to
on my
get.
bench.
We
just
know how
so
to
there.
get the Patriots. That's the thing.
All right, so matchups of the week. I'll start off here. I looked at we'd like talking about NFL teams where it could be most fantasy relevancy, and I looked at the Falcons versus the Packers. Both defenses are pretty poor right now, either to average to below average in the pass. So both offenses are pass happy. A lot of weapons. Should be a lot of fantasy points. Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers will be slinging the rock. You're looking at really, you can get two receivers on both sides. So you're looking at Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, or Sanu,
You mean
or
2.8
Hooper.
points, Julio?
Yeah, well, depends on who's covering over there on the Green Bay side. And Green Bay, same thing going against the Falcons defense. I think there can be a lot of passing points there. Adams could run the ball pretty well against Atlanta as well, so it could be a high scoring game. Well, we thought the same thing last week against the Saints and the Cowboys, but I think their defenses on both sides of the ball are nowhere close to what Dallas was putting out those weeks leading up. So that's my matchup of the week. If you got players on those rosters and you're looking
Yeah, I
for
think
a
that's a
start
good
sit.
take. I think that everybody's down on Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I think both teams are playing so poorly that you might get just a shootout here that
Yeah.
we've kind of been waiting for.
I like yours right here. This is like a clash of two different styles.
Yeah, so the Ravens play the Chiefs. Defense versus offense. This has probably been, maybe besides the Bears, the best defense in the league has been the Ravens.
Yep.
They just took down the Falcons, who, although their team overall has been bad, their offense has been pretty unstoppable. I think they were at home, too, which is not,
At home,
no one stopped them at home. And so I'm not saying that the Chiefs are going to be shut down, but I think you need to temper expectations. So if you have Mahomes and you're expecting a 40-point week from him, I don't think it's happening this week. I think he's probably more like 2 touchdowns and 300 instead of your 304 or 5. So really, I talked about it earlier with Ware. He's basically dependent on those touchdowns. If he's not going to get the touchdowns, you're probably not going to be that happy with him. And that also now with Williams and West coming in, that's going to kind of be something you have to watch out for.
Yeah.
The Ravens, you can continue to start Lamar Jackson. We saw where his floor was last week. His real floor, if he just goes nuclear, terrible turnover machine like he did with, I think he had 3 fumbles. He only lost one of them, but he had 3 fumbles. So the potential's there for him to just implode like that. So I don't know. I think this could be a lower scoring game. It's one of those, usually we kind of pick out one that you can grab all these options from. You might want to be a little careful with this one. I think that it's not going to be so crazy high scoring.
Yeah, I like that. Defensive streamers. Talk all about the matches we got here. Sean, grab it here.
So I'm going to stick with the hot one, and that's Dallas. They looked pretty dang good against the number 1 offense in the league, the Saints. So
They look great.
yeah, so they're going against the Eagles now, which is not the number 1 offense this year. They've struggled. They looked okay last week. They kind of looked like they were getting a rhythm back a little bit, but I think that was more about the Washington Redskins than it really was about the Eagles. So I'd say that they're a pretty safe start. You're probably not going to get a blow up, 20-point from these guys, but I think you're safe in that 5 to 10 range.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get a negative.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
when you're playing for playoff seeding or
Zeke's-
for
Zeke
leagues,
slows
yeah.
down the game. You're not going to have as many offensive snaps.
Yeah.
I think you're looking again at like a lower scoring game, and they're also just a sack machine. Last week, as you saw, the pressure they were getting was insane. So
yeah,
that'll rack up.
Streaming options for guys still playing for playoff positioning, or like we talked about, a lot of your leagues out there are starting the first round. If you're a streamer on defense, these guys should get you positive points. That's the worst thing, is to get negative points in a playoff game.
Well, you need this too, because I have a league that has the Bears. They play the Rams. And then if you have the Ravens, these are the two we talked about as the best. They play the Chiefs. So you're probably going to be looking at one of these. So who'd you have, Phil?
Whoa. I am Phil's mentor, so that is my league name, but I'll take that as a, oh, man, I don't know. I just got hit right there. I love you, Phil. All right. I took the Bills D versus the Jets. Kind of saw the Dallas one there, but if you look for the biggest opportunity, like you talked about, the top two defenses playing against good
the
offenses.
turnover machine's coming back.
So this could be a good opportunity where they're coming, where you can get double digits from a defense.
Do you have one for us, Ryan?
They all look like poop to me.
He says the emoji, poop emoji.
I mean, I don't see a single defense I'm excited about on this waiver wire.
Well, that's, the streaming thing is, it gets really tough week to week.
Yeah, this is why it's good to prep for your playoff matchup. Our league isn't in the playoffs this week, so it might be something if you're in the playoffs clinched.
I mean, other than the ones you've said.
Yeah.
Everything there.
Start looking at.
Yeah.
One I would say be cautious about. I think the Jets is a lot of people might turn to them. I think that Bills offense is starting to
These
find
divisional
something.
games, you got to be careful with them.
Because you know each other. You play each other twice a year.
I think
It gets-
Josh Allen's just going to start running like he has been.
He had like over 100 yards last week.
135 yards. I watched
my
every single one of them, and
goodness.
Kiko Alonso was
And he's
responsible
white.
for all of them.
Well,
He's white, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks.
white
How did
Cam
that
Newton.
happen?
That's how it happened. They're like, this guy can't run. He's white.
Well, and people thought he was like a Drew Bledsoe copy. And then Bledsoe was just a pocket passer. He didn't want to move. He thought he'd just be one of those guys who just stood tall and take a sacks. But no, that boy knows how to run.
You guys
Yeah.
saw what the Melanin did with the kicks, with the field goal.
Yeah.
First, second, third.
All right.
Most melanin, least melanin.
There's the biology
Case
and
in
all of
point.
this.
Biology. It's science.
All right. So waiver wire or pickup
I'm sweating.
line here. Who do you have? I got I'm supposed to do a pickup
Yeah,
line
so
here.
let me, I'll give you guys, we're going to do this a little reverse. I'll give you guys the pickup, and then Chris will give us a nice pickup line here. So
Got found one. Who's the pickup here?
Yeah, so this is somebody who last week was picked up that you probably are going to need to hang on to. We talked about him a little bit, Justin Jackson. Phil, good work. Holy crap. I mean,
Yeah, Phil, come on now.
In deep leagues, I added Justin Jackson, but I didn't think in a 10-team league he'd be able to find the roster spot for him. But
You little stinker.
yeah, Ryan's texting me, who the heck is this Justin Jackson guy? And I was like, go back and listen to the podcast. I said it.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's
I don't know
the
what I was
pickup last
thinking.
week. Good work, Phil. Hang on to him. If Gordon's out this week, he's fantastic play against Oakland.
Staying on the poopy thing that we were talking about, my pickup line. Here we go. It says, my love for you is like diarrhea. I just can't hold it in. Boom. Right there.
I've used that one.
Did it work?
Sounds like a rhyme.
It didn't work.
You are still singing.
Whoa.
Okay.
Jackets come off.
Jacket's off.
Started
Guns
Wow.
out,
sweating.
guns out.
Started sweating there.
Just with these
Some-
men in this room.
Yeah, that's just weird. All right, so there you go. Use that pickup line.
It's only as weird as you
All right.
make it, Chris.
Player this week you should start. That's probably on your bench.
In
Yeah.
other words, don't start him.
Yes. No. This is somebody
No.
you should start.
Should
somebody
start
who
here.
you've been you might bench him because you're a little afraid, but you should probably
If
start
you're
him.
starting him on your bench, you're benching him.
You're promoting him. Starting him from your bench.
From your bench. Oh,
Yes.
see, that's different.
Should start on
All
your
our
bench.
people are mad now.
Oh well, we
'Cause
put
every week-
we put on. Let's just start from your bench. My bad. Yes,
I'm
We
a
used
snob grammar
We
guy.
used the wrong preposition there.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so who's that guy we should promote from our bench?
Yeah, so I think somebody that you might not think you should start this week. Amari Cooper kind of had a down week last week, but I think it was more of a defensive thing. He seems like he's got that floor now, and so even if you have some pretty key players, like if you've got Galladay or Landry, I think put him in your lineup. Amari Cooper's set for a pretty good week this
To me,
week.
I think he's an every week start.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, especially this week because they're going against the Eagles, who are like signing guys off the streets to play DB over there with
Exactly.
all their injuries.
do you
So-
think that
No,
maybe
if they saw the way you run to your kick and the field goals, no.
But dude, like I couldn't time it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm so white.
If
that
you're-
the sun reflected off of this gate.
If you're brand
and
new
into
to
my
our
eyes.
podcast, please look at our kicker one. You'll know exactly what we're talking
Yeah,
about. The kicker
Ryan's
episode.
a glutton for punishment. We're here talking
YouTube.
about it, and apparently he wants to now go against the DB, get one of your.
I
high
was just
school
like, why?
DBs,
Why would we want to
Dude,
do
like-
that?
run a
I
route
can't
against him?
kick, but I could play corner.
That's what we all think. But all right, so those are the guys you should look if they're on your bench or even out there on waivers. Those are guys that can help you if you're looking for some guys to go on your starting lineup while we get into playoff contention or the first round of playoffs.
Do I have a kicker? I'm being
Kicker
communicated
whisperer, kicker whisperer over here.
with.
Ryan,
Let's see.
who's your weekly kicker?
I mean,
whisperer?
my little waiver is in for Fireburn because the home skillet got 21 points last week.
Chasing them points.
Yes.
Yeah, so 21 points and he's against Indianapolis. I think it's great.
Who didn't score a point last week? So
It was the weirdest thing. I was like, wow. I mean, that defense of Jacksonville finally showed up, or Indianapolis.
I'm done with
forgot.
Cody Parkey. He keeps getting me 8 every week, and I'm like, I want more.
It's
Yeah.
better than negatives where some
want
guys
more.
can get.
exactly. All right, and then kind of a new one we teased before. We weren't able to do it last week because man, the coach had a
I was
migraine and was down for the count.
I was
so,
down, man. I was vomiting like violently that whole night. It was horrible.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a coach's corner here. Chris is a.
Did
high
you get an appropriate amount of sympathy from us? Or was
A
it?
little bit, yeah, a little bit. I was surprised you gave me any. I wasn't expecting any.
I feel like
you know.
Sean was a little more on it.
I made sure that the people knew that.
All right, yeah, but yeah, we're going to the coach's corner. So
So yeah, we're gonna have basically once a week here. I think we're just gonna have a whiteboard out, old school. Bring it up. You're gonna throw up a play for us.
You guys can just like write on my white chest.
I'm glad you didn't lift that up.
Oh, I'm
This is-
so glad you did.
No, we wouldn't get views
No,
that way.
yep.
No views.
Let's take a seat there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let me.
So
Off
let's
this
just
segment.
go straight to it, and we'll let Chris explain it. So there you go.
All right, guys, welcome to the Coach's Corner. This is our first time segment going here, so I'm going to try to do my best not to talk too much of the coach, but try to bring it to the fantasy perspective of why some of these plays or pass combinations that I'll talk about are relevant. So what I'm talking about is a wide receiver pick and the running back ISO combination there, route combination that we see in the NFL a lot with premier pass catching backs like Christian McCaffrey. We've seen Nick Chubb run this a couple weeks ago. And then we've also seen Todd Gurley live off of this too. So a lot of this is based off of zone and man coverage. We won't get lost in the weeds of what we're going in. So I'm going to do a little bit more of a man concept here. Wrote down the defensive positions here and got regular circles here. This is a half line look. All right, so I didn't draw all 11. I want to go one side of the ball here. So the quarterback's in the gun. So your pick route, okay, we call it kind of like an inverted slide. It's not even a true route, which pick routes in the NFL are supposed to be illegal. But if you can make it look real enough, the refs won't call it. So what happens in a man scheme, these two guys are tied up. Okay, so they're covering, cornerback's covering him. He's going to go with where this guy goes. So let me erase that real quick here. So the pick route, right, he's really going to slide in here and try to get in front of this linebacker's way. And he's going to sit and point back or look back toward the quarterback. So that corner is going to naturally go with him. Again, if we were in a zone, he would stay. And safety coverage is a whole different combination. But for the sake of this illustration, the cornerback goes. So the running back, he can either come up, and when you see this little line on the board, it's called he's checking, looking for any leakage in there for a rush on the defensive end or linebacker, and then he'll come right out to open space. Or he might just free release pending on if there's no one for him to pick up. So with here, all right, so the cornerback is all the way over here with this wide receiver, all right, and we erase this receiver because he's all the way over here sitting on this little pick route. All you have here with this running back is open space for that quarterback to hit him wide open. Because what he does with his butt is make this linebacker either go way over top, which makes the quarterback throw quicker, or he has to come underneath, like Van Der Esch. We saw Van Der Esch, I keep messing up his name, with the Cowboys, or I saw Kendricks with Minnesota. A lot of defense counteract with it, and they try to run under and back over. But if you're playing really good running backs that are extremely fast, they're gone. And this is why it's such a great play. And there's only a window. That safety gets over there, but we've seen a lot of touchdowns over there. Nick Chubb made a phenomenal move where he mossed a guy on this play, even when the safeties got there, because it's you putting your best player out in open space. And that's all football comes down to. Get the ball in the best player's hands. And you have to be creative, and a lot of NFL teams are going this pick route combination to isolate the running back out of the backfield. So I hope you learned something. Please tell me if I need to talk a little bit easier about it, but this is a very simple combination of scoring tons of fantasy points this season. Well, that was a good coach's corner, I hope. I try to pick plays that I see that week, the previous there, that were some fantasy relevance. So mostly offense we'll be talking about. And, so those pick routes and running backs coming out of the backfield is a huge thing that I've been wanting to cover for a while. But let's go on to our next individual segment. What do we got, Sean?
Yeah, so we got Tim. He wasn't able to be in the studio with us.
The doctor.
I think he's going to be out of town from now on, so we'll probably get these videos. But here's your doctor.
All right, so quick injury update for everybody out there. Go through this list pretty quick. It's not terribly long, but it has some serious implications. First, a couple running backs. Kareem Johnson still working his way back from the knee injury. I would watch his practice reps over the week. I think it's likely he's out at least another week. They were just so vague with that injury. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but he's been limited in practice, or not even limited, not even practicing. So I'd like to see him at least limited. This obviously affects LeGarrette Blount and his value. So I think if Kareem Johnson's out again, fire up Blount as a pretty comfortable RB2. Next on the list, Melvin Gordon. They say he's working his way back from his MCL injury. I think this week is too soon. I don't think we'll see him play this week. Ideally, I think he should sit this game, and then they have a Thursday night game the following week. Ideally, they would sit him even for the Thursday night game and get him ready for the playoffs with a long, week to recover. But that Thursday night game is against the Chiefs. They may try to push him back to compete for the division because they still play the Chiefs, and obviously there's huge implications there. Home field advantage versus the wild card. So definitely watch that one. I expect him out at least one more game, maybe two. They may try to push him back for that Chiefs game. James Conner was listed as an ankle sprain. Not a whole lot of information. They said it's not that serious. I'd keep an eye on this one. I'm kind of concerned that looking at the mechanism, it looked like it could have been a high ankle sprain. If that's the case, I would imagine that he would be out until at least the playoffs start. So that'll be interesting. The Steelers have a couple big games. They play Oakland this week, so not that important. But they follow that up with New England at home and then the Saints on the road. So obviously some pretty big games with home field advantage on the line kind of thing. Maybe not anymore after losing this last week, but they obviously want to clinch the division at the very least and not play the wild card game, on the road. Chris Carson dislocated his finger on Sunday. He'll play through it. That won't be a big deal. Ryan can show you his war wounds. He'll buddy tape it, glove it, whatever, inject it. He'll be fine. Matt Breida, ankle injury. My guess is that this has been a nagging injury that's been going on for some time. Kind of a surprise that he tweaked it in the warm-ups, and so he really didn't do much until he kind of had to come in for a couple of plays because I think his name is Jeff Wilson or something, got hurt. He had to come in to spell him, and then the other guy finished the game out. So he's already been ruled out for Sunday. My guess is they probably won't push him back in, unfortunately, because they're not really competing for much. So, and then the last running back I have on my list is Malcolm Brown. He's actually on injured reserve now after hurting his clavicle. So that's a little concerning from a Todd Gurley standpoint. Obviously, he is a huge workhorse. There's just nobody really there backing him up anymore. So watch for whoever they activate from the practice squad, or if they sign somebody, because they may be roster worthy as a handcuff. We don't really know how that situation is going to play out. A couple receivers, AJ Green, IR now after or not necessarily rupturing, but re-injuring his toe ligaments. He's actually going to require surgery. My guess is he just tried to come back too soon and had the same sort of injury. I think this is something that's happened with him before. So it's obviously disappointing for their season. Their season was kind of trending downhill anyway. No real reason to push him back. I was honestly surprised to see him try to compete this last week. So see how that goes. Another gruesome injury. Greg Olsen ruptured his plantar fascia. The plantar fascia is on the bottom of your foot and actually kind of connects from your heel bone up to your toes. It's a big, thick kind of like fascia that serves as like connective tissue. You don't want to rupture that. That is going to be uncomfortable. that is also going to require a long period of immobilization to allow that to heal, and then an extensive recovery. So he will be out for a long period of time, and we'll see how he rehabs in the off season. Let's see. I think the only other one on my list right now is Mitch Trubisky. He's coming back from a bruised shoulder. I've also seen AC joint sprain, so we need to see him practice this week, at least in a limited capacity, before he competes on Sunday. We'd like to see him do something, say that he can throw through the pain. So they may just inject him to kind of help him decrease the pain and play through it. So they obviously have a big matchup against the Rams. They would like him to play. As always, if you have any questions, shoot me a text. Happy to answer anything. Pay attention to those practice reps and all that sort of stuff. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you, Dr. James.
Dr.
We definitely
James.
there were some big names there on that injury report that
Lots
we
of
need to
running
discuss.
backs.
Lots of them, and we talked about a little bit of their handcuffs and that. So it's extremely important to understand how much they will be limited coming into this week, or if they're out. So that's our podcast for the week.
Yeah. The only other
Kamish,
thing
you got
I wanted-
anything else?
Yeah, let's just preview a little bit what we got coming up here. We're talking about possibly next week getting Leroyce on,
The man.
which nobody who does not in our league, you haven't met this guy yet. He had to step away. He had a child and felt that was more
He
important than
decided
fantasy
to
football.
step away.
I know.
Dadgummit.
Yeah.
For you guys who don't know us, our league is like so legit when it comes to how much investment we put in there. We got guys who say, "Guys, I have a child. I can't put that enough time.
I need a year off.
I need a year off going in
To nurture my child.
Good old Tim James left with when he started the whole med school
I
process.
want David to start
and-
calling these guys out, though. He's got 3 girls at home, and he's not quit once.
Well, he I don't know. He wakes up at like 4 a.m. to check his stuff. So
true.
I mean, he makes
Super
time
dad.
in there.
I mean, but Tim
Phil
on
was
the
getting-
show was like,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. This player got this many yards. This player got this many
he
yards.
knows about 5 times as much as Ryan knows.
And then
Let's be honest, it's more like 50 times.
and then Phil, we was talking about the emotional stress
yeah.
for being so invested in there. It's hard to watch it like regular fans. So in our league, we take our fantasy football pretty seriously.
So, anyways, he's been out of the league. He want to take a year off at least. Maybe we'll try to rope him back in. But he's been in our chat, been following the league a little bit. We thought it'd be fun to bring him in to make some playoff calls. We'll have our playoffs decided, and he can maybe pick who he thinks is going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so we'll bring we call our outside expert opinion on how the playoffs will run and who he predicts to be the champ of our league, the Fantasy 757.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is our show for the week. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, give us some feedback. Not just, subscribe. We always ask you to tell people about us, but we really like the feedback. If you have an idea for a segment, you like the new setup here.
If you hate it,
Yeah, if you want to see more Ryan's guns, tell him to keep the jacket off more at the beginning of the podcast.
Or not to make sounds like that.
Yep.
All right. Ryan, send us out, buddy.
oh man, yeah, just what he said, Have a good week.
All right. See
All
you
right.
guys.
See ya. Every week you do like less and less and less and less of the signing out. Before it was like subscribe, tell your grandma about us.